No more nodding. It's time for a Gen X update. If you think you haven't seen me in a minute, it's because I was in an entirely different state, doing 8 shows a week and keeping up on my other jobs, and why am I explaining myself to you? Once a people pleaser, always a people hater. Cure co-founder Lowell Tolhurst has written a book about goth culture because it is profoundly misunderstood. It's called Goth, A History, and it explores the nuance and origins of goth. Not that the troglodytes who don't understand goth culture would ever read a book. They're far too busy cheering for concussions on AstroTurf to decide whether or not we're more than dark clothing and cigarettes. Cretins. America's getting dumber at breakneck pace. I mean, just look at it. In a time of nightmare-fueled conflict, impossible election coming up, and hate crimes on the rise, we just watched a mayoral candidate in Tennessee invite a white nationalist group to a forum. Gabrielle Hansen refused to denounce the Tennessee Active Club, known as a white nationalist group, that she invited because, hang on, they're anti-Antifa. And the dark web is showing massive Antifa activity. You know what? Fuck it. Ban the books. Teach all the revisionist history you want, I guess. But maybe if we could start with enforcing the importance of double negatives in English class, maybe this won't happen. Yes, it will. Anti-Antifa. Meteorologist Tom Skilling is retiring, and it's time to start thinking about what you're going to do at the end of February 2024 when weather ends. And for reasons that I don't have to explain to anyone with eyeballs, we're going over to the Rage Desk. Would you think this was going to be a review of Taylor Swift's Eras Tour in movie theaters? This is about what's happening in Palestine. Okay, there's a lot going on here. Not because it's too complicated, just because there's a lot going on here. Hello, hi, I'm a Jewish woman. I do not practice all that much. It doesn't make my value as a Jewish person go down, really at all. My IMDb score, if you will, as a Jewish person does not really move, because during the time that I should have been studying the Torah or Hebrew to be bat mitzvahed, I was instead listening to my mother talk about how we were going to go live in a women's shelter because my father took his life and the bank foreclosed on the house and all the payments came due and they hadn't been making them. Not really a time for balloon arches and a live band, know what I'm saying? But I still get to say, as a Jewish person, that what is happening in Palestine is not a war. It's genocide. And if you're about to come at me with history, here's the thing. I don't want to fucking hear it. Because Israel doesn't want to hear it either. There's a reason they are not allowed to talk about the Nakba in Israel. It is against the fucking law to mention the Nakba of 1948. I will not use my experience as a Jewish person to justify slaughtering somebody else. I am fucking sick that this is the tack we're taking and the US is aiding and abetting genocide. Because really, as a Jewish person, has the US standing with Israel ever benefited me one fucking bit? No. Did it magically save me from anti-Semitism? No. Did it allow police to do training exercises in Israel? Yeah. Did it give Israel's military a fuck ton of money and weapons? Yeah. So we all decided, I thought, collectively, that there was an imbalance of power when it came to police and civilians. Do you guys remember? You remember, right? It was 2020. It's been happening for fucking centuries, but apparently we just noticed 3 years ago. And that imbalance of power was wrong. Giving one side a whole bunch of military equipment and money, and the other side absolutely nothing, not even the resources to live, was going to end up badly for citizens. We also know that the US has a fetish for destabilizing democracies. Like, we love it. It's very profitable. So we know these things, and yet here we are watching the media still call this a war. Here we are writing to our elected officials, and every single response I have gotten back is about the attacks in Israel, which, yes, are fucking horrific. Hamas is a terrorist organization. Of course I understand that. Do you think I need to say with my dying breath, if I were a Palestinian, that I have to condemn Hamas? Do you want everyone who was brutalized by the police to condemn crime? And you want to blame the Palestinian people, the majority of whom are children, for not rising up and taking down Hamas? We can't do it either. And carpet bombing an entire populace is definitely not going to work. And we're watching very powerful people go, well, it is a war. There are casualties. No, it isn't. It's not a war. It's genocide. Full stop. Don't talk to me about what you would have done to save Jews in the 40s, because what you're doing right now is sitting idly by, believing our politicians say that we're standing with Israel and we don't want any more lives lost while we're funneling them money to kill people. You can't solve it. I can't solve it. And the only people who can are the ones who are continually letting this campaign rage on and calling it a war. I am a Jewish woman, and when I say free Palestine, I obviously don't mean death to Jews. I mean free Palestine. Full fucking stop. That's all for tonight. Remember, we're Gen X, and we remember everything.